For me, it's okay. I don't know if you did you ask Asma and the rest?
Is it
I'm good.
Dina? Sorry, Asma?
Yeah, I'm good. On the record voice.
Dina and Ahmed?
Yeah. والله أهلين بالشباب، شو أحلى محلات تطريز اللبسة يا دينا، بجنن. بعتي لي زيه. أهلين يا أحمد، كيف حالك؟ إن شاء الله تمام. كبشة اليوم. You said like there are 300 people who registered, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll wait a little,
Still
some minutes.
Are you agreeable to be recorded? There will be a recording. Asma and
Yeah, we
Majid.
agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, we agreed. Yeah. Thank you. Who's talking?
That's Manny. Sorry, my colleague of Darian.
Hello, Manny. Nice to meet you also. It's good to know just who's talking here and there.
Okay, welcome to everybody that's already joined. We're going to wait a few more minutes for people to pour in and join the webinar. So a little more patience, please. Dina and Ahmed. Dina? Yes. Can you hear me? Sorry, would you be okay? Okay. We're still waiting for some people to join, but I think I can go ahead and start with the introduction and welcome everybody to this webinar titled Youth of Gaza, Stories from a Lifetime Under Blockade. We're very happy to have you here and of course to have our speakers. Let me introduce myself. I'm Doreen van den Boer, the Policy Officer for Israel and the Occupied Palestinian Territory for CIDSE. For those that are not yet familiar with CIDSE, CIDSE is an international network of Catholic social justice organizations working for transformational systemic change and social and ecological injustice, to end social and ecological injustice and inequality. I will start with some practical information first. As you might have noticed, we have French and English translation provided tonight. You can choose your language below in the channel. If you have difficulties connecting, you just send a message in the chat and my colleagues will help you out. Donc, je vais vite répéter en français aussi. On a prévu une traduction en français et anglais. Vous pouvez choisir vous-même ici dessous. Mais si vous avez des difficultés, juste envoyez un message dans le chat et mes collègues vont vous aider. And if you have questions for the panelists, please enter them in the Q&A so that I can read them. All right. So I'm very happy that CIDSE took this initiative to organize this webinar. And the idea of the webinar is really to draw attention to and raise awareness about the situation of youth in Gaza, because they're often forgotten in the bigger story of conflict and war. And this year, the illegal Israeli blockade entered its 14th year. Gaza has a very young population, and so that means that many young people have been living most of their life under blockade, unable to go out of Gaza. So this has been a daily reality for them, and that in combination with a military occupation and also military assaults on the civilian population. But the consequences of this blockade reach much further. And have led to a serious decline in the economy because, of course, the import and export is extremely limited. And as a consequence of the blockade, half of the population of Gaza is living under the poverty line, and almost 70% of youth are unemployed. But despite the closure and the hardship, the people in Gaza, and especially young people, refuse to be defined by this conflict that continues to affect their life. And just like other people around the world, they hope and they dream for a better future. And people in Gaza are determined to make their life livable, and they demonstrate enormous determination to do so. And this is what our speakers today will talk about. And we are very lucky to have four wonderful speakers with us tonight. The first one is Majed Abu Salama. Majed is a scholar and campaigner, human rights activist, and also award-winning journalist who grew up in Jabalia refugee camp in Gaza and is now based in Berlin. His articles have been featured in Al Jazeera, Middle East Eye, and other media outlets. And Majed is the international director of We Are Not Numbers, of which he will tell you more. Then we have two speakers from Theatre Day Productions. The first is Ahmed Al-Ayadi, who is 25 years. And Ahmed was born and is still living in Khan Yunis refugee camp, south of the Gaza Strip. And he considers himself a very committed activist for human rights in Palestine. And since 2013, he's also a leading member of Theatre Day Productions Theatre Club for Youth. Ahmed is currently working as a freelance lawyer and it is his ambition to continue continuous education in international humanitarian law at a European university. Dina Khadra is a very lovely young lady, and she has the ambition to become a professional trainer for soft skills and self-development. In 2020, she graduated from university with a bachelor degree in English, and now she's in her first year of acting and drama teaching curriculum at the Theatre Day Productions. And together with Ahmed, Dina has been facilitating advocacy events, such as Performing Arts is a Right, with other artistic youth groups in Gaza. And this event was really a celebration of artistic freedom. So I'm sure she will be able to tell us more about all that. And our last speaker is Esme El Haldi. Esme is a Palestinian visual storyteller and filmmaker with a bachelor in architectural engineering. And she's now also a communications assistant at Gaza Sky Geeks, where she works as a filmmaker and storyteller. And she's an established photographer. Her work has been showcased in Gaza, Jerusalem, Amman, and Washington and London. And featured in several international media outlets. Her passion for storytelling and reporting led her to working on the Palestine VR project, which is really interesting, and in which people are invited on a virtual tour of Gaza City. So without further ado, I want to give the floor to our speakers, and we will start with Majed. Majed, could you maybe explain a bit about what are the biggest obstacles for youth in Gaza and what they are facing today, and how your organization, We Are Not Numbers, is helping them to deal with all that? And thank you.
First, thank you, Doreen, Manny, and all the organization involved. I'm very glad to be in such a well-organized seminars with those amount of people. It's always important for us as Palestinians to voice our message and to tell what's going on within our small Gaza, or as we call the small ghetto. So sadly, that we all come from this, and I have now, I'm one of those privileged people who, as Doreen said, now lives in between Berlin and Tampere, Finland, where I do my PhD. And I also have the pleasures to be with Dina and Ahmed and Asma, who is still in Gaza. And it's very inspiring to be with such different inspiring stories and with inspiring work. That is just a few of the very resilient stories of our young people that is continued, like with their continuous resistance to stay sustained and grounded within the very brutal and very excessive blockade in Gaza. Sure, from your question, Doreen, there is many answers, and to the huge obstacles that face Palestinians in Gaza, especially young people. One important thing that one has to set up is the fact that we in Gaza, more than half of the populations are children, and more than 70%, I would say, of the population are children and young people. And that tells a lot about those generation of young people who have not seen 24 hours of electricity. It's a very simple thing, you know, like a clean water, a hot water, a heater at home. You know, I myself always imagine one of the closest stories to my heart is the moment when I left Gaza and arrived to Oslo for a speaking tour in Europe. And I asked a friend just came to pick me, and I asked him, what do you want first to do? And I told him, I just want to have a shower with a clean water. And that wish was, as for many of you, I believe, it's very simple. But for us, having mostly waters with the treated sewage water, like having showers with the treated sewage waters or salty waters very salty from the seas, that destroy our skin and our hair and our bio bodies, you know, tell a lot about how the blockade and how the settler colonial states of Israel have invaded not only the space, they didn't colonize Palestine 48 and 67. They didn't put blockades and let people in Gaza live a ghetto, or as some call it, concentration camp. But I always say we have so much to tell about what the blockade have been doing. Not only the blockade, because people think of the blockades with the massacre that is happening as those is the stories that the Palestinians have had as a collective. They think of them as numbers, and where this is how we are not numbers, our organization have come, you know. They don't think of them as people with passions, with dreams, with visions to become like actors, dreamers, free persons who doesn't have to struggle the struggle they had to do with the least opportunity that we have within the violence infrastructure that is established in the midst of the Israeli settler colonial infrastructure that is increasingly sustaining and engineering of a blockade that has been set up throughout a long occupations, which end up after with a bigger blockade that where Israel have managed to even count the calories and the vitamins that comes to the Gazan people in the steppe, which is that is I just want to be clear and truthful about the fact that have never been happening since World War II. That a country and a state is engineering the calories, like by trucks, how many calories in this trucks that comes to Gaza, so they will count it according to the populations. And this equation is still about the inhumane, sustained, engineered collective punishments that Israel have been doing within Gaza in different spaces, in the general sense and in the very intimate sense. Even they came to invade the bed between the men and the women in their house, you know. However, going from that infrastructures, you know, which I want to sit as a to the state, to what is our enemy and what we are struggling against as a very vulnerable, precarious nations and people who are who would someone like me will take 2 years to go out to try to put their name on a borders that is most of the time closed to leave the Gaza Strip. Those stories that you can imagine within this infrastructures must be told as stories and as people with a very precious life, you know. And this precious life, we are not numbers, trying very much to show this precious life that those Palestinians are having, since also I would say sadly that the infrastructures of the humanitarian infrastructures and also the aid infrastructures have, in some way or another, have been distracted by the amounts of emergency that is happening in Gaza, where they kind of focus on aid, focus on issues like that doesn't really reach, make the Palestinian voice like higher and increase the ability and the impact of the Palestinian voice, where they can scream loud to the words where their voice can be heard, you know. So 5 years ago, as we are not numbers, we found there is a lack on, after all these years of funding many organizations in Gaza, we found out that there is a lack of Palestinian speakings about Palestine. So we wanted to start decolonizing the voice, because we wanted very much to stop to balance the imbalance that is happening, where many white people is speaking, or few Palestinians who have privileges, such as me and others, you know, to speak about what's happening in Gaza. Therefore, we started to train junior students and trying also to preserve the digital memory of us, and also the life memory of us, where if you live in Gaza, the amounts of life details that you would have to endure and you would have to live and deal with and try to manage daily is kind of a lifetime story. That the quick, speedy life that where you have to run between planning your life and electricity narrative, water narratives, the lack of resources, the lack of opportunities, the struggle to find the least of what is really there in the ground in Gaza makes the life of somebody like Ahmed or Dina or Asma or Majid or many of the We Are Not numbers worth telling and worth learning from. That's why I always say people I have so much respect, not because I'm Gazans, but it's because I left Gaza. I have so much respect for those who are in Gaza every day. I feel more humble when I'm talking every day to anybody who's inside Gaza, because the life that they've been deprived from to live because they've been born Palestinians is worth telling and worth to fight for, so they can live this life when we call the right to life, and where we as I just want to focus in the last minute. Doreen, how many minutes I have just to I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry, 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes.
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure that with We Are Not numbers, it's very, as I said, with the focus on aid and with the focus on very food and other things, we kind of as Palestinians very much try to set up narrative where we try to look at Palestine from a decolonized perspective, trying to understand Palestine from a political point of view. A political point of view where human rights were just one aspect of it, but when we call political, we're trying to call for a dignified life, caring about political rights, caring about dignity of the people within all the 48 and all the 67 Palestinians. So we don't also speak of we don't speak as We Are Not numbers of those on what they call the Palestinian territory. We speak about and for every Palestinians who are living anywhere in the world, because we as Palestinians, as We Are Not number, thinks any Palestinians with camp as myself, coming from and growing up in a refugee camps, and those who living in a refugee camps, very vulnerable and very sad, in a very sad situation in Lebanon and Syria, and in the other Palestinians who have been exiled, who are over 7 million, making us also one of the biggest exile and refugees nation in the world. That is story worth telling, worth archiving, worth restoring, worth decolonizing, and worth making it well heard. Therefore, We Are Not numbers exist now, growing now with the support of people like CIDSE and other in France and Belgium and all over the world. Individuals and others have start to believe that Palestinians would like a dignified project. They don't want, they need aid very much. I can't deny that we are 80% of our society dependent on aid, sadly. Okay. And that tells about the aid. Yeah, just one second, Doreen. That tells a lot about the failure of the aid infrastructures and the EU aid that is coming to Gaza, because they have not managed to set up a resilient economies and project that can manage to fight the Israeli settler colonial state. But that also tells about the natures and the strong natures and the strong immunity that Israel have, which we have to break now and today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Majid. Yeah, if you have questions for Majid, please add them in the chat and we can address them when our other speakers have spoken as well. Now I want to go to Esme, and I want to ask her, Esme, if you can, explain us a bit more about the work of Gaza Sky Geeks and the way in which the digital economy and tech, is offering new opportunities to young people in Gaza. And how can that play a role basically in helping them cope with this situation, as Majid has elaborated on. Thank you, Esme.
Yeah. Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me today, and thank you for everyone who's watching me and being with us tonight. Let me start by saying Gaza Sky Geeks, for me and for like a lot of young people here, is considered the place of hope. Place of hope for a lot of youth here. So Gaza Sky Geeks is tech education place, startup accelerator, and a co-working space. So basically, Gaza Sky Geeks has started as being a joint venture between Google for Startups and Mercy Corps back in 2011. And it has started as a startup accelerator. And now we have like the three pillars, as I mentioned before, where we educate people and train them to code, also to build their startups, and also to create a career for them on the freelancing platforms. Even if you don't have a skill, we have also other courses where people could join and learn a technical skill and go and ace with it on the freelancing platform. So basically, we're on a mission to help Palestinians to gain income from online platforms. So we started in Gaza, but that's not it. We have expanded now to West Bank and Hebron, Nablus, and soon Jerusalem. And the very inspiring news that we are now running a freelancing cohort in Erbil as a project with Mercy Corps and our team in Gaza. So having all these inspiring experiences of people who become the main breadwinners for their families, to support themselves, to have that, or to feel that they're valued, their efforts or their education were not wasted. We see the unemployment rate in Gaza is very high, and Gaza Sky Geeks is helping kind of solving this problem, but by creating or by helping these young people to have jobs. So not only having a job and gaining and being someone of a job, but also being part of a community that you feel belonging to peer people like you. And actually there is something in the community members or participants from our program, they feel that they have, or they're in a charge to pass this knowledge and this experience to other people from their age or people around them. So for example, I cannot forget the time where starting the last year, when the COVID-19 outbroke in the world and in Gaza especially, a group of freelance translators from our community have all participated and volunteered to translate a handbook by a Wuhan hospital about the COVID-19 instructions and stuff like that into Arabic. And it took them only a few days, and they have spread it wide on the internet for people in Gaza and anyone who can speak Arabic. So that's really inspiring that these people are not only rising by themselves, but also they're taking other people's hands with them, or they're spreading the spirit of paying forward. So I think, a place like Gaza Sky Geeks is really important. because like it empowers people, it gives them hope, it gives them like practical solutions for the daily challenges, and also like being someone who like works there and telling the stories of the youth, of the people there. It touches me personally, where I interview people about like how they feel and what empowers them and what inspires them, and how they get there at the end of the day. I get myself motivated, and that's what pushes me every day to keep going to the co-working space. And because Sky Geeks, I have a deep belief in the work I do, because like you're literally creating a new life to these people with all the like possibilities, and we're evolving and we're trying to reach more people and trying to reach and empower more people. So that's why I call it, and a lot of people call it, a place of hope in Gaza. So that's briefly. Dorian, if you have like any other areas you want me to speak about, so please go ahead.
Yes, I think, yeah, it's very interesting that you give these examples, how it can also create new forms of solidarity amongst the people in Gaza, and how they use their skills also to give back. And I was wondering if you could, yeah, maybe tell a bit more about your personal projects, and how that is also bringing that story of the people of Gaza to the outside world. For example, this interactive tour of Gaza.
Yeah, that has reminded me of a video that I've lately made. It was for the Code Academy graduates from our coding academy in Gaza Sky Geeks, who were hired, or they were interned with Google for startups for like 6 months or so. And I was like creating this video to tell that impact on their lives. And that was like really something inspiring, not only for me, but also for any hiring partner to come and work with our developers or freelancers. And that has always like a great factor or a key for externals to work with us and partner with us. It's good, or it's worth mentioning that we have different partners or like companies in Europe and outside Palestine who work with our graduates, and that's really something I feel proud of, that our graduates are like excelling, or they are even better than like the standards of like international standards and in this tech expertise. So being in Gaza is not something that limits you of getting to your goals and achieving what you. So yeah, for the other project, it would be like really good if we can, I don't know, if we can screen one of the videos that I shared earlier with you. Would that be possible?
Maybe I can put it in the chat and people can watch it, because we're already running a bit out of time, and I also want to give Dina and Ahmed enough time to tell their story. So maybe, and we can also share it later so people can see it together, maybe with your the other videos that you have created.
That would be great. Okay. So briefly, just to iterate back to your question, being a visual storyteller for me is a tool, or is my tool to give a space for people to speak up about their experiences, and I help them craft it in an artistic way to own their narratives and to be empowered of the achievement that they have made. That's on the Gaza Sky Geeks aspect. For other, like in general, visual storytelling for me is we own the narrative and we tell our stories in the way that we see it, right? Because we're talking about our own experience, our own stories. So why to let third party to talk about us? We have the tools and we have the power, and we should tell our stories. We don't need anyone else to tell the world the story. So that's where I see the importance of the storytelling by us, the people.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I think it's a wonderful initiative and very important. Now I want to go to Ahmed and Dina and to hear their story. And actually, I wanted to learn a bit more about your work with Theatre Day Productions and how Theatre Day Productions is encouraging young people and children to engage in theatre as a very unique way to also deal with the situation. So can you talk a bit about the importance of art as a way for young people to cope with the situation in Gaza, and of course also share your personal experiences. Thank you very much.
Okay, Dina will start in Arabic language.
مرحبا للجميع.
أهلا, welcome everyone. I am very happy to be here with you in this event. My name is Dina Khadra. I am 22 years old. I live in Gaza, Palestine. Why did I choose to become an actress? Why did I choose to teach theater and drama? My little brother went to Egypt because he couldn't find health services here in Gaza. Health services, food services, education services are very lacking here. My brother went to Egypt to receive health care. He spent 10 full days to go from Cairo to Gaza. Do you imagine how many kilometers between Cairo and Gaza? Do you imagine what it would take to spend 10 days in this short distance? You can imagine the stress we lived as a family. Will we ever see him again? Is he going to be among us again? Is he all right? Is he safe? Is he alive or dead? This is only a story of 10 days only. There are a lot of stories of people around Gaza. It's not about a month or two, a year or two. It's for many, many years. Since I was 9 years old, I kept hearing the crossing of Rafah and crossing of Erez. Those would sound weird for you, but for us, they are the names for our life. We breathe through those crossings. We eat through those crossings. Any allowed food or health services or medicine would go through those crossings. We always monitor that on the internet and on our mobile, spending hours and hours just to watching what will happen to us. Are we going to receive food or not? Are we going to receive medicine or not? Everyone would celebrate the New Year's Eve, but we will celebrate in a different way. We count the years of blockade. We always say 5, 10, 15 years of blockade. We only count those blockade years. I chose to be a student of drama and theater and a teacher and trainer of theater. It's the place, theater is the place where I can be free, where I can speak my mind without anyone trying to tell me, why did you say that? It's the only place I can actually allows me to travel around the world. This is where I can visit places that I would like to visit in my dreams. I am a small, since I was a small little girl, Palestinian girl, I dream about visiting Paris and France. I visited all of these places only on theater and only in dream. Can I visit it in real life? Would it be only a dream for me forever? I know that you will not have the answer for that. But I can dream about it. I I really would like to go out and continue my education. Scholarships in Gaza are very limited. I would apply to every scholarship I find online, but I cannot get out of Gaza because simply I am only Palestinian. So I would act in front of my audience, audience of all ages, children, adults, women and men. We hear each other, we talk to each other, we share our freedom. It's a small word, freedom. Freedom. Everyone in around the world enjoys freedom, but we only enjoy it within the confines of the theater. Any participation of any Gaza youth in theater is very important, and it would allow us to find answers to why do we have to live through this blockade? Why is it only us? When this will end? We know that we might not find the answers for that, but we will actually feel free to ask these questions on the theater. I'm grown up right now, but I will teach children to do what I did and to speak what I spoke. There are youth, men, young women that want to speak their stories, their experiences within their homes, but I am representing them here and I'm empowering them to represent their stories on the theater. I am able, using theater, I'm able to speak for them. I talked about my little brother. Now I'm going to talk about my elderly brother, Adham, who traveled to the UAE for 2 years ago. And as any other young man in Gaza who couldn't find a job here, and he went there. We miss him. I miss him so much, and I cannot see him again. Because the day he decides to come back from the UAE, he will be threatened to be deported and to lose everything and go back to square one. It's the third year right now starting that I am living without seeing him. I don't know how many years I will count, like the years of the blockade. I want to ask everyone to think about one thing. What makes you special? I want everyone what makes to tell me what makes you special. I will start with myself. I'm Dina. I'm special. I lived through all these hardships and I was able to live and speak and be powerful and empowered. I am very proud to be a Palestinian girl. I will end here simply that I represent. I want to share a lot of experiences, but since the time is limited, a girl in the 20s, Palestinian girl searching and looking to make dreams come true. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for this very powerful story, Dina. And I'll now give the floor to Ahmed.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for this invitation to share my story. For a lifetime, as one of the Gaza youth who lived under blockade. But first of all, let's imagine together how it is to be born as a refugee child at your homeland. How it is to live under blockade for 14 years, since 2007. Can you imagine that the entire of childhood passed in a narrow strip of land? Children and youth here in Gaza are so happy when the electricity is back on, because it's not normal to see lights regularly. Normal for Gaza youth, it's not the same normal for youth outside of Gaza. My name is Ahmed Al-Ayadi. I'm 25 years old. 14 years of them, I lived under blockade, and I'm still living. It's a jail with no basic of a human rights. Personally, I have lots of friends and relatives outside of Gaza, but I don't have the chance to meet them face to face. One of them, a young girl, she is living in the West Bank. I know her from 2011, but I cannot see her because there are some borders that prevent me to practice my right to movement. as well as when I graduated from my high school, I want to study at the Birzeit University for engineering, but I cannot go there. There is some problems of too many, and that confirms that there is no light at the end of the dark tunnel for Gaza youth and as well as for me. But I don't have lost the hope because I believe in the power of change. One day when I was in the prep school, I saw a show for Theatre Day Productions when they cooperated with UNORWA schools to present their shows. And since then, I have the connection between me and theater because I have the chance to be in one of those shows. In 2013, I have been selected as one of Theatre Day Productions club leaders. And as one of those club leaders, in 2014, I had the privilege to participate in an exchange program between TDB Theatre Day Productions and UCA, Zoidag at that time in Belgium. We shared our story with other youth there. We were 13 actors. Most of us traveled out of Gaza for the first time ever. That journey from Gaza to Belgium through Egypt took us 4 days as a transfer because it's not allowed for youth of Gaza to enter Egypt if you are under 40 years. That journey was too harsh and stolen our passion to travel out of Gaza. Despite all of this, we started our work. In small groups, we were able to visit schools, colleges, and universities, hosted warmly by Belgian families. We performed our show, which called Summer Vacation in Gaza. Anyone who heard summer vacation, he thought we were enjoying our time. We were having fun, but our summer was too hot and different. If you're not aware what happened in 2014, summer in Gaza, briefly let me tell you that I had that feeling when I have the feeling that I will be killed at any time, at any second, and lose any of my beloved persons or homes, as many others. That experience will never get out of my memory. Even though the main idea of our show was to share with other youth outside of Gaza about youth of Gaza and children's lives under repeated conflict. An opportunity gave me the chance to share our experiences and daily life difficulties. Since then, I have kept committed to theater. Why? Simply because it's strong and effective for resistance and coping. It's an effective and one of the best tools to draw the attention for any issue. In 2020, last year, I decided when I connect with theater and this one in 2013, I decided to become a lawyer. I changed my plan for being an engineer, and instead of that, I study law. And I used my skills of being a lawyer and being an artist to combine between rights and arts to make and create with young people the Legal Arts Initiative. This initiative was to confirm that there are many ways to demand your human rights in creative and peaceful ways. Because being under blockade, there are many difficulties to obtain your human rights. As a believer of human rights and with my knowledge in international law and the theater experience, I got stronger as an activist for human rights to raise the voices for 2.5 million of people in Gaza and who are living in a small jail. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Ahmed, for this, very powerful story. I think we still have some time for questions.
Doreen, we can't hear you.
Oh, really? Can you hear me? Okay, I hope you can hear me. We still have some time.
Yes, we can't hear you.
That's weird. Okay.
I can hear Doreen. From what channel are you using? English channel?
Okay, I'm just gonna continue. We have a few questions. Maybe the first question is for Majid. It's a question from Sarah Kanali, and she thanks you for your speech, Majid. And since you mentioned the EU, I was wondering, what is the perception of the EU in Gaza? Is it seen as a patronizing actor, or do you think it plays a central role in supporting the Palestinian people? Thank you. Majid, you're still muted.
Thank you so much for your question. It's a very important question in this circumstance, especially since we talk to EU people with some organizations. Actually, I'm very critical of the EU positions and role within the Palestinian territory and beyond. And I do think I'm very upset and frustrated. However, I know I also see there are many people trying to change the reality within the ground. I've been very much myself when I was in Gaza and outside in different talks and advising in different locations about the EU trying to patronize different funding that is coming to Gaza, and also trying to sustain a narrative which, like I would say, many of the Palestinians, except the BA or the elite authorities that is managing the Ramallah administrations, sustaining this reality, the narrative of two-state solution, which many Palestinians feel it's dead, and it is very much not there. However, also the EU is also taking another step on trying in many different ways to just sustain the elite group without really talking leading on issues regarding settlement and settler, and trying to really pressures and boycott the state of Israel. The movement, the Palestinian movement, boycott, divestment, and sanction, and the Palestinian civil society for years have tried to pressure the EU and the European parliaments to do whatever they can to pressure Israel and stop the immunity of Israel, and that you have not managed to really do anything except worrying, which I am very angry about. Which I know that all the time there will be a statement of worries. I don't know if the inhumane situations and the 14 years of blockades and the ghetto and the camps and the infrastructure that the settler colonial apartheid Israelis have created in Gaza and around Gaza, as Esme and Ahmed and Gina have told you the stories of those borders and fences and those huge infrastructure. Still, that there has to be an immediate, strong reactions from the EU. But it seems there is an immunity, there is an agreed immunity, and there is lots of people trying to break it up. But certain states are still very powerful, not willing to really stand and put Israel accountable to all the war crimes against humanity that have been doing. So sadly, but there are many grassroots societies, trade unions, agricultures to put some hope there from the grassroots and from the church organization that working with us in many levels, pressuring and boycotting, and also trying to do the other strong voice and pressures that is needed and that is being asked by the Palestinian. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Majid. There are many questions. There's one from Lachsen, and he's asking about the marches, the March of Return, and whether they are going to continue sometime. Maybe Dina and Ahmed, I don't know if you have experience with that, but of course you're based in Gaza. So what do you think is the general feeling around that? And you know, of course, it's a difficult situation now with COVID. So maybe you can tell us a bit about the way people are protesting now. Dina or Ahmed?
بالنسبة لمسيرات العودة هي كانت فترة بسيطة في
March of return, it was a short period in Gaza we lived. It ended, but the results are still witnessed. The percentage of handicapped rise up 80%. People who lost their legs or hands. The the marches of return ended, but we still suffer from the consequences.
Thank you. Majid, there was another question for you. Sheila is asking, if you want to return to Gaza, would you be free to do so?
I do think I go back to the question to what Dina have said about her brothers, you know, and it's a very important question. I would say myself, it took me a year and a half to leave Gaza, over a year and a half to leave Gaza at a certain point. Last time I had been in Gaza. And then I was privileged to go out for a speaking tours in many countries in Europe to advocates and to tell about the violations of and the crimes against humanity that Israel is having. It's very hard. I think I count to 1,000 before thinking to come. To tell you the truth, if something I'm missing in my life is to go home. And it's home is where is my refugee camp and where I grow at the moment, where is Palestine. And wherever as Palestinians being exiled in different places, especially those of Gaza, the pain that we have endured in Gaza, still seeing Gaza still enduring and trying to overcome these pains, I would say still keep us and make us very close to our people and to our lands and always make us wish to go home. But the story again, if I go back to Gaza, as Asma, as Dina mentioned, it will, and also Ahmed mentioned, it will take me over 4 or 5 days to go back to Gaza. And still I might be waiting for a month in Egypt to go back to Gaza. My mom 3 years ago just visited me here. It took her about 3 days to go out, and I had to bribe some people about $2,500 to do that. And when she come in, she had to wait in Jordan for a month and a half to come until Egypt allow us to come in, because they allow 2-3 days to open the border, and then in 2-3 days you have to run into Rafah border so you can arrive before the border closes and they can let you in. This reality, I think it's very cannot be understood and cannot be really imaginable by anyone who have not gone through it. But this, I always remember the fact that when in my master studies, many people in their summer education would go back home, and Christmas would go back home. And actually, many times I cried, even though I have some friends who tells me to come, and I would be crying, very sad, because I would love to go back to my family and spend my Christmas with them.
Thank you very much, Majid. Maybe we can ask one last question for Dina and Ahmed, because we're actually running out of time, and it's quite late over there already. But maybe can you give your view, or maybe your hopes for what youth in Europe can do in solidarity with youth in Gaza? I mean, from your experiences with working with youth there, what do you see are the hopes in this kind of solidarity?
أنا بالنسبة إلي بطمح
For me, I aspire and I hope that we actually need youth from other countries to help us. I take the stories of everyone in my country and I act them in on theater. And I want people around the world to actually hear and see the details of the real experiences and the real stories with all the feeling, with all the pain in it. If anyone else would speak my story and what I have been through, whether it was with my brother Muhammad or brother Adham stories, they will not deliver it in with the same passion and same feeling. I thank God that you were able to hear me right now today and to heal the hardships that I went through. I really would like that the stories would actually get delivered with the all details and with all the feelings. I hope that my story is delivered to other people, that we are not only just to have headlines and like sad stories in Gaza or a story that would make you cry. We don't need just a viral headlines or just word. We need to be stories that actually told in the right way, acted in the right way for people outside to understand.
Everyone here in Gaza, of youth of Gaza, has his own creative, and he can be a creative youth, and everyone has his dream, but there is no opportunities or chances to achieve it. What youth of Gaza, and for me, what I want, that I have the chance to express about my feelings, my thoughts, my ideas freely without any borders or any limits.
كمان بدي أضيف شغلة كتير بسيطة إنه إحنا في غزة أو شباب غزة.
Add here that we as youth of Gaza, we are part of the world. We need you. We need your support, and you also need us because we complete each other. We are living all on one planet, and we need you, and you need us. We are part of you.
Thank you very much. I think with this very powerful and also connecting message that we can conclude the webinar. I really want to thank our speakers for their very interesting and passionate interventions. And of course also the audience for being here and being so engaged. If you have a look at the chat, I mean, I don't know if the panelists have seen that, but the people are encouraging you and commending you and your work. So I hope that is also encouraging for you. And you can find more information on the CIDSE website about Gaza and also the work of our partners there. And we will share an email, a follow-up email after this webinar with the recording, but also the videos that Esme referred to, and of course links to the work of all the panelists here. And I also want to inform you about our next webinar, which is about women in Gaza, which is addressing the issue of women specifically, which is next week, also Thursday. And that is the 4th of March. So you can go onto our website and register for that as well. And with that, I just want to thank you very much. Yes.
Doreen, can I just there is one point which is I think important to do it before you thank everybody.
Okay, no,
if
go
possible.
ahead.
I'm sure the people are still a little bit here. It's very, I just want to make sure there is one point I think through all the answers of my colleagues and comrades here. It's very important to think that we look very smiley, hopeful, and trying to create some good examples, from our communities, and we are not numbers, who works with hundreds of young people, to Asma with the entrepreneur who's trying their best, with theaters trying to reach a lot. But I tell you guys, this is a very small society of what can be reached in Gaza. There are over many, we're just all this civil society, all this aid is coming, all what you see is just actually 1% of what is happening in Gaza. The situation actually is very sad. And with COVID now, and with the vaccine is not reaching Israel, just vaccinating most of their society. You know, over half of the nation bragging about being an entrepreneur states, while not having a very half an hour away there is a prison, an open air prison called Gaza, and also in the West Bank have no vaccines, have no access to health and no access to anything. So no, the situation is sad. I would say, and yeah, there are hopeful messages here and there, but actually I worked in the civil society, and I tell, for years, I worked over 10 years in the civil society, and I tell you, we can always create some hopeful example and resilient example, and because we have no other choice. You have to be strong to live such reality. But that doesn't mean that we really reach what is those NGOs and those aid is reaching few, the very few. The many are still not here, voiceless, and needs all your voice, all your support. We need many of those seminars and many of those campaign and actions, and many of you engaging, not in listening, but proactive work with all our the partners and the people here, and with whatever tool and managements you can do. And I would also say very much as a civil society, all these organizations are part of the BDS movement, which is boycott, divestment, and sanction. Please check the BDS movements also and see what we are doing worldwide with all the grassroots civil society and people who can do things from home to join us. And yeah, we are there, as Doreen said, and thank you so much for everybody. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Thank you, Majid. I think that was a very nice conclusion. And indeed, I agree that, I mean, despite all these very inspiring stories that we heard today, we mustn't forget that there are limits to human resilience when they are confronted with such an enormous adversity as is the case in Gaza. But I mean, by hearing these very personal and human stories, I think we can hopefully generate more solidarity and indeed help to make it the situation better. So thank you very much, and thank you everybody for participating, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you for your invitation and for all of us.
Yeah, and we would like to thank all the interpreters who volunteered to help out in this. Maybe you can mention their names, Dorian.
Yes, so thank you very much, Laurentine, Tabi, Ruba, Rami, and yeah, for your wonderful job. And yeah, we're very happy that you supported us here to make this webinar possible. And also thank you to all my colleagues who've been supporting behind the scenes in the chat and to set up everything from a technical side. So thank you very much for that as well.
Thank you so much, Dorian, in my name and in the name of نتكلم team. And we actually know exactly what they are talking about.
Yes, indeed. Maybe if you want to share, Rami.
Yeah, being a Syrian myself, a Syrian refugee, and I also grew up in Yarmouk Palestinian camp. So I really understand what they are talking about.
Ah, yeah, you're still in the English channel, Rami.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. I was just thanking you in my name and the name of نتكلم team, and I was telling them that I understand exactly what they were talking about, because being a Syrian refugee who actually was born and lived my life in Yarmouk Palestinian camp in Syria, so I really understand what they are going through.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard what Rami said, the interpreter. But he also related a lot to your story, because he's actually a Syrian refugee who grew up in Yarmouk, and now he's working as an interpreter here, and so yeah, he can relate to your stories.
Yeah, refugees all over, I think, can relate, from Afghanistan to Bangladesh to all the places. Yeah.
Sadly. Oh, with such efforts, we will do something about it.
Dorian,
and
can we
thanks,
leave now?
CIDSE, for your amazing
Thank you very much.
work here.
Okay, have a very nice evening, everybody, and
Have a nice evening.
yeah, hope to talk to you soon. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Manny, can you end the?
Yeah, I'll end it.
Or should we?
What do you want me to do?
I don't know.
Cool. So good night, guys.
Yeah, thanks so much, Esme.
Thank you very much.
So much. That was really being
Okay.
there. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Doreen. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Marius. Okay,
Bye.
I close now.
Bye,
Doreen.
Manny.
Yeah,
Thank you.
close.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye. I will try to organize, Doreen. I'll try to organize the link up with the Palestinian group here in Verviers and link them up with them, because there's a strong Palestinian group here in Verviers.
Okay, nice. That's great.
Yeah.
Manny, I'm not sure. So I recorded the webinar, but I don't know where to.
Where did you record it? In your computer or in the cloud?
Maybe on my computer.
Then you don't. Well, then you don't close when I close now. It should. Let's see if it's.
I'm gonna stop the recording, and then maybe it's.